So this is the international fours, and boy, do we have a match-up for you today. All Olympic medalists, the crew on the left from the Italian team, and well, this exciting, really exciting young British crew. 3 men from Yale University in the boat on the right of your picture on the buck station, and 1 man from Princeton, Matt Benstead, in the bow. And they really showed the French who was boss yesterday. The French national team finished 4th in the Europeans, behind the Italians who you see on the right of your picture. It's going to be a great race, I think.
Yeah, I love this event. Tense, quiet, and then you're off. A sudden explosion, everything goes.
And what about the contrast? The Italians, they were onto the second stroke so quickly, and the British, really, they hadn't got onto their second stroke, and that was just an indication of the intent of the Italians there.
Well, Martin, you've called it many times as we've watched this Italian four performing around the world. They really have a high rating approach. They take a lot of strokes per minute and they whip along, and you can see the contrast in styles right now. The Italian four are really quite a phenomenon. Look at the pace of those guys as they really belt up and down, propelling the boat as fast as they can, longer and stronger on this side from the Leander troop.
Yeah, these Brits won't be any... Well, they won't be phased at all by the Italians. They saw the Italian pair, Vicino and Lora, go out this morning to the French, and they'll reckon, well, if the French can do them, so can we. We beat the French yesterday. These boys from Yale in the stern of this boat, that's Tom Digby in the sort of pink colours there, former Abingdon schoolboy. Charlie Elwes, the Radley schoolboy's brother Sam, rode in the St Paul's 8 that lost yesterday to Scots College. We'll see them shortly. And Sholto Carnegie in the stroke seat, another Radley boy. And amazing, they've all gone into Yale programme and helped Yale win the IRAs, the prestigious varsity crown, probably for the first time, I think, in a long while.
Well, and just look at this, they are stroke for stroke, and it's not possible to tell who's got the advantage here. 2 very contrasting styles, Martin. How would you call it between these crews? Which way do you think the result's going to go here?
Well, I think at the moment you've got the guys from the Yale boat are rowing like how they row Yale. Like Steve Gladstone sets them up, the Yale coach. Italians just making a little move there. They're into a rhythm, and they'll try and hold that rhythm all the way down. Matty Benstead in the bow is going to call for a burst quite soon, because I think the Italians are moving. But the Italians, the way they won the Europeans, they were really high rating, really flexible. They just throw everything in early on, and they keep that rating to the end, Matt, and then they can sprint. So they can go up 41, 42. So they've got the whole sort of kit and caboodle in their locker room, and they can just bring it out whenever they need it.
Well, I think we've seen them do that right now. You could see them whip the rate up a little bit there, and they've made a bit of a move, and they look like they've got their nose in front at this point. It must be expensive for them to be so high rating. An extra couple of strokes a minute, that's a lot of extra energy to put down.
Yeah, but when you've been to Rio, the Olympic Games, you know, and you've tested yourself in that regatta, and the Italians, I mean, they were down against the South Africans all the way in that Olympic final. I think they just came through in the last 500. So the 2 men in the bows, Marco Di Costanza and Giovanni Abignali, not the famous Abignali, the brothers, but there's steering going on there. Boris Rankov warning the British crew, Matt.
Yeah, the Brits are needlessly coming into the middle and getting too close to the Italians. Probably a bit of a distraction there by them for a second, and that's not going to help them. They need all their concentration right now, because the Italians are making headway, and we want to see the Brits respond. They're going to need to do something as they come through the middle of the course to make sure they stay on terms with the Italians.
Well, the Italians have taken a British scout once already this season. The British four we're going to see shortly. Different order, of course. Mosabi, he was at stroke then in the Europeans. But the Italians now coming across. And Boris Rankov is having his work cut out. I could just see performance director Sir David Tanner in the launch with the coach of the under-23 group, Pete Shepherd, behind him on the left.
Yeah, you can see in that shot, couldn't you? Boris was holding his hand vertically, and you can see the Italians were just across the line that Boris was causing, and he's now warning the Italians, saying, get out of the lane. We don't want to see the crews interfering with each other through the wash of their boats or even the oars coming into contact. So that's causing them to pay some attention to steering rather than moving the boat. But at this point, it looks like they've got about a length over the British.
Looks like race done and dusted as they come sort of through the midpoint of the race, just to those concession stands. We're coming close to the Upper Thames Rowing Club. You can see it there on the top of your picture. I think that's a job done for the Italians, really. They had a real sort of explosive start, and then the British pressed them and they stayed cool and just moved away. And to me, this is killing the race off.
Well, let's see, because the British under-23, they've got a lot of power in the boat there, average weight of 93 kilos, a little bit of a weight advantage over the Italians. The Italians, you can see from head on here, keeping the boat nice and level, surging forward each stroke. The questions that the under-23s must now ask themselves: do they have what it takes to get back on terms? Can they push harder to catch the Italians?
So I love Matteo Castaldo, the Royal Savoia oarsman from that small club down in Napoli, the three-man. He has such a distinctive style. We had a better shot of him in the Europeans, but you know, he's got that kind of bent inside arm. He's got quite a long legs but short body, and he absolutely smacks it. He just goes. He's the linchpin around this crew. He rowed two in the four that got a bronze medal in the Olympics, and I think they just feed off his energy, the Napoli oarsmen.
Absolutely, they have a super distinctive style, both the way they rate and the way they row, and it's been deployed to great effect, as you say, in Rio and in venues all around the world. Look at this from overhead. You can really see the pace there, Martin.
So the thing is, I've said that done and dusted for the Italians, but the Yale boys, or we should call them the British under-23, really, they went out to lead that race, and then, well, Washington came back on them in the university championships in the States. So they like to lead early, but they haven't been thrown off. And, you know, I think Matty Benstead, the bowman in the British boat, is going to be saying, look, we still got contact. I haven't seen a sprint from these Yale boys. I know they can do it because they held off Washington, but, you know, maybe it's on.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are in contact, which is good. They've managed to stop the Italians from breaking into clear water, which is always a problem. But they've got a lot of work to do if they're going to get back on terms. And as you say, they're not necessarily the people who've got the finesse to change the pace of the boat and to sprint up and raise the rating, whereas the Italians, we know, have got gears 5, 6 and 7 still to come.
Yeah, well, the British have only been in this boat, you know, what, 10 days, training down at Caversham with Pete Shepherd. So, you know, gear changes are something you get with a bit of time. I think they've done really, really well, the British boat, because this is, you know, European champions, and these young Brits, well, it's not even the first British four.
Yeah, as you say, they're all at they're at US universities, which means that they don't have the chance to train together until this point in the season, and it's the way to bring them back into the embrace of the British team as the Italians approach the finish line. Roars in the stewards' enclosure, appreciating the quality of the rowing here.
So Team Italia take that semi-final of the Stewards Challenge Cup. Very absorbing race from Leander Club and Griffen Boat Club. Griffen, the old boys club of Abingdon. And there you see the four Italians furthest away from you: Marco Di Costanza, Giovanni Abignali, and the great Matteo Castaldo in the 3-seat. And then Domenico Montroni from Fiamma Gialli.
Just watch the Italians off the start. Stroke. They've got 3 or 4 strokes in, and the Brits have got 2 or 3 at the same time. So really aggressive. I don't know what that rating is, Martin. It might have a 5 in front of it.
Yeah,
50 strokes a minute.
It's over 50. And I did see one of the British four half-heartedly put a hand up, but I don't think he kept it up for too long.
There was a little bit of umpires' warnings here, as we see Boris Rankoff here warning the British crew, but he warned them both pretty evenly down the middle of the course.
The thing is, if it's Boris Rankoff, you're going to think, well, he disqualified Neras last year, so why don't we, you know, have a chance to make an objection? I mean, it's open season on objections, isn't it?
Probably no downside.
That's what I'd do if Boris was umpiring my race, you know. I'd just, you know, maybe try and do anything to see if I can influence that decision. But
one of the great features of Henley Royal Regatta is the umpires are legends of rowing themselves. I mean, you talk Boris Rankoff, of course, competed in the boat race about 100 years in succession, as far as I can recall. Absolutely epic, a multiple boat race winner, and we've seen Matthew Pinsent umpiring races earlier, so it's great to see these legends of rowing here at Henley.